Good Sunday. We are again on overtime. And ladies and gentlemen, we are definitely coming out with breakthrough proposals. It's just that the 3 weeks delay have been caused by certain groups from the Banzon family, and it has become violent again, but that will be in another video. And of course, certain Filipino criminals are here by the name of Wendell Armanagat and the group of Manny Mascuñana, the group of Ray Boy Narvasa, and the list goes on. So I am shocked as to the number of criminals who attacked me literally in the Philippines, including a guy by the name of Richard Stolp. But anyway, I am not making any excuses. This will be submitted this week for sure, despite the unreliable certain elements in the Federal Express team who deliberately opened my private documents inside the FedEx envelope and did not deliver it to the given executive. During that time, it was in the East Coast. And that happened in Barranca, Irvine, Barranca, California. Very sad, but it happens in America. And I must confess, he was a Filipino. But moving forward, this will all, by the way, be submitted to the police authorities and the FBI, and no less than Mr. Cash will be given a copy of that particular affidavit. So what is so mind-boggling right now is the so many former government officials that have been fired by Elon Musk that I must say are well, Mr. Musk is being attacked day and night here right now in America, and I already foresaw that because obviously we are talking about budgets in the social services being cut, from Medicare to supporting student programs, and the list goes on. So it has become very violent right now, and the usual death threats have been hit to no less than Elon Musk. So what am I trying to drive at? The private sector and the government sector are both different. It is so difficult to privatize a certain government entity. Why? Because it generates certain indirect income to a given economic entity. For example, social services. If the American citizenry are being given the right amount of money, of funding from social services coming from the government, this will definitely increase money velocity in all sectors, from manufacturing to professional services, non-services, and the list goes on. Therefore, the gross national product of any given economy is dependent upon managing social services without waste. In other words, social services do not go to the pockets of the given citizens of any country. It goes back to the economy. So I don't know for a fact if Elon Musk already said he is going to resign effective immediately after cutting the deficit to about 1 trillion. I think that would be bad for America because he's doing a great job right now. But the problem is what to cut. The problem is the death threats, because most of these people rely on government jobs in order to survive. So what is the solution? As I said, number one, to all of these individuals who got fired by Elon Musk, they should be retrained by the government. The government of President Trump, if I may propose, should retrain these individuals in order to get a job immediately. And even Elon Musk might consider hiring them. Not all, obviously. So what am I trying to say? Retraining is the main solution. Because obviously they have been in that job for what, 20 years? That is the average, I heard. Again, that is subject to validation. Secondly, when it comes to certain redundant government positions, there is no question about it, that person has to be fired immediately and moved to another government agency. So technically, the word fired is not true. It's a question of having somebody in the government of President Trump to redirect these human resources in order for them to be productive and to further avoid the current onslaught of anti-Elon Musk campaigns to remove him. And therefore, I would like to stress my main proposal to already shift from cost cutting to revenue generation, which is the main topic of this program today. Because we already want to move on and pass on all these proposals. As I said, the only problem is because in my group alone, we are also being attacked violently by the people I just mentioned a while ago. And sad to say, these are some Filipinos. So the way to do it, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow American citizens, the way to do it is to focus on an export-driven American economy. In fact, if I may say, Mr. President, President Donald Trump, that is, I would like to take the lead in the Midwest. For all the people that got fired, we will train them to do export businesses either on their own, a joint venture with the government, or with export-oriented companies based in the United States and hopefully based in the Midwest. Because most of them that got fired who want to join this bandwagon has to relocate in other states. In other words, I don't want to confuse anybody. One individual has to relocate from, let's say, Louisiana to the West Coast, like Nevada, California, Oregon, etc. Because these are the states that have the best position or leverage to export in Asia, which is still the #1 big potential of the United States of America. But based on current statistics, it is Europe that America exports most of its products. Again, that is subject to validation. Because it is very clear that based on these general plans, in the next 5 to 10 years, depending on how much support we can get from President Trump, we can reduce the budget by more than 10 trillion. America will become the leading export nation in the world. That is the primary objective. Instead of squabbling, quarreling with one another, whether Elon Musk is right or wrong, the way to do it is focus on the big picture and focus nonstop on exports to Asia, exports to Europe, exports to our North American neighbors. Because at the rate things are going, everything is on a standstill. So the main proposal is, after firing, for a lack of a better term, a certain employee of the government, this employee will be shifted through a department of development, human resource development, which I can initially lead, would be to shift these individuals who got fired to either another government entity or the private sector, or to train them to develop their own export business. That will silence the critics of Elon Musk. And I will fast track finally that series of proposals to the President and Mr. Musk, because, as I said, I have been violently hit by the individuals I just mentioned to you, who have practically entered my private abode and completely sidetracked the rule of the writ of habeas corpus. Also, I'd like to mention the breakthrough proposal we have for Secretary Pete Hegseth, who I think is doing a spectacular job right now by flying all over the Pacific Rim and the entire Pacific Coast area in order to quell the attack of China all over Asia. As you know, there are rumors that Xi Jinping, the supreme leader of the People's Republic of China, is ill, but now he's back to normal. And the way to counter China on Taiwan is precisely what you just did, Secretary Hegseth. And that is to make sure that the military personnel all over Southeast Asia will double overnight. And they have to agree on a very on a financial agreement that will not be again a burden to the 37 trillion budget of America, which I think has already been done. Because, as far as I'm concerned, and so many Filipino professionals who are in the know, the Philippines and China are already at odds big time, because China has practically attacked the Philippines on the West Philippine Sea. That, if it were done in America, is already a declaration of war. We are not warmongering. That is a statement of fact. The Philippines, with its territory in the West Philippine Sea, has already been attacked by China. And that is why many are saying that is the reason why the Philippines is about to be attacked further if they cannot remove China in the West Philippine Sea. And again, I have the solution to that. Again, I am very confident to talk to the group of Xi Jinping and say that it's Philippine territory. You can be given economic benefits, more what you can gain with the West Philippine Sea, because everything there right now is subject to speculation. In other words, the reason why the People's Republic of China attacked the West Philippine Sea is because of the oil reserves there. Some say it's about 100 billion. Some say it's all the way to 300 billion barrels of oil reserves. Again, that is subject to big time speculation. So, to be very direct to the point, in less than 6 months, I'm very confident, with the right funding, we can negotiate direct to Xi Jinping and tell him, Mr. Supreme Leader, why are you just focusing on one angle of economic gain when you can get more gain and more respect and more honor with the Southeast Asian region by relinquishing your hold on the West Philippine Sea? Because it's very clear. It's very clear. That is already an act of war. And as I told the group of Xi Jinping for so many times, most Filipinos are for the People's Republic of China to attack Taiwan. It's a controversial issue, but we are very clear. We have nothing to do with Taiwan as Filipino Americans. We have nothing, completely nothing, zero to do with Taiwan. So, if the Supreme Leader, Xi Jinping, would withdraw that, my proposal is to come out with a declaration that if the People's Republic of China will attack Taiwan, the Philippines at large, will not meddle whatsoever. However, it is very clear that China, the People's Republic of China, must immediately, effective this month of April, new month of April, withdraw immediately to that small islet which we call the Philippine Sea. So, Mr. HEGSETH, Secretary HEGSETH, I'd like to be very clear that I am 100% very much in favor of what you did with regards to your plans for Europe. Because Europe must realize that the $350 billion we already supported Ukraine must be paid immediately. And on a per capita basis, it's not that big. In other words, if I have to initiate from my end on the private sector again to come out with an agreement that if there would be a war between Ukraine and Russia that will result into a war between Europe and Russia, that will definitely be grounds for World War III. And if that happens, the 350 billion is nothing, because the losses right now, human losses, this is according to Wall Street Journal, is about 1.6 million have died in the Ukraine-Russia war. So it is very clear to say that an estimated 6 million, 5 to 6 million will die in the next 6 to 18 months of war between Europe and Russia. And that cost of human death alone cannot quantify the initial 350 billion expenditures by the United States government. Right now, we cannot quantify, because it's not yet over, the current economic losses suffered by Russia and Ukraine and some parts of Europe. The question is it about 350 billion? No question about it. It's more than that. Way, way more than that. And to Secretary Marco Rubio, it is very clear that the current team of negotiators or ambassadors in that region, specifically the ambassador to Israel, really can't do the job. Why? Because of so many issues. I have studied that for decades, you know. Israel versus Hamas, or Israel versus the Muslims. That is never ending. Why? Because some Bible experts say it will never end, because it is stated in the Bible. So how can you argue with the Bible? But one thing is very clear, and that is the plan I already finished, which is what? Basically, strategically to remove all Gazans out of Gaza and make sure that they will have a means of living outside Gaza. If that is done, then we will have permanent peace. But look what happened. Everything was rushed. And before you know it, it's back to war again. And if there is one job in the world right now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the toughest job in the world, that is the one. Because it is never-ending war. We're not just talking about hate here. The Hamas people have been educated, have been brought up since birth to kill the Israelites because of what happened in the past for centuries, where the Israelites killed them, so they have to revenge and kill them back. And it just goes back and forth. It is unsolvable, not unless we have a plan to remove the Gazans, give them a means of livelihood that is honorable and long-lasting. If not, they will feel cheated, just like what happened during the Vietnam War. But look at Vietnam now. They're doing excellently, but they're claiming not because of the United States, but because of China. So to cut the long story short, to Secretary Rubio, I will be submitting that. Hopefully it will be in your desk this week, because I do not want to promise 100% Secretary Rubio that it will be accurate, because some people, like the family of Benda Rosario, might destroy it again. In fact, the group of Des de Leon in California came out with a new typewritten format to submit to a certain personality back in the East Coast. And that company in the East Coast went to my private abode in Orange County, California. And he got shot. I thought I was bluffing him, but they completely changed the proposal. They retyped the whole thing and submitted it to him, which was a big fallacy. What happened was they got those documents, okay, they robbed it in Irvine, Barranca, and then retyped it and submitted it to that given CEO. It's so sad, but it was done by a Filipino in a branch in Irvine, California, Barranca, FedEx branch in Irvine, California. So, my suggestion is to really have two ambassadors in the state of Israel. One focusing on Hamas, a respected individual, like I think the most respected individual I could have is somebody appointed by or suggested by, endorsed by the king of Saudi Arabia. And back in Southeast Asia, one of the most respected names during that time was Verduasi Abbas. Because right now, it's a question of respect. Hamas, the Israelites, won't even look at the current ambassador of the United States, because he does not have the connections. And that's why less than a month, it was back to war. But as I said, I am not, I'm not saying he did a bad job or good job. It's just that it's just a fact. The Muslim community will only allow a certain diplomat from the United States that is respected by them. If not, it's not going to work. It's going to be an endless mistake after the other. And again, I have the process that can make sure that they will respect that particular diplomat and not even create violence. Because as you know, the Muslim groups can be violent overnight. Because of it's their culture. If they know they cannot trust you, then they feel that you have crossed the border. And before you know it, there's violence again. And as you know, the people that really wanted peace got assassinated time and time again. Either the actual diplomat got assassinated, or the leader, or their family members. So it is really, as I said, the most difficult job in the world. That's why I would like to immediately say this. I would like to immediately say this to Secretary Rubio. And that is to create an all-star cast, an all-star team of ambassadors and respected names in the field of religion, Muslim religion, and Israelite Catholic religion, to make sure that we are sincere enough to make this peace long-lasting. And the most important is really to put a prosperity path for each and every Gazan to get out of Gaza. Because once they are in Gaza and they will continue to live there, the chances of them bombing Israel all over again is almost 100% sure. It's just a question of time. Revenge begets revenge. They killed my mother. They killed my brother. It's endless revenge mentality all over again. And they will always find a way. Not unless, as I said, I was telling already some of the Republicans here, not unless America is willing to put troops on the ground, and we're talking about a big number. Some called it during that time the United Nations peacekeeping force. And that, again, is a huge amount of budget that has to be maintained every single day to avoid war. And if you're going to listen with the certain Filipinos again, who are going to malign me as usual, just like what I told you a while ago, then I hope it is very clear that these Filipinos have to be deported immediately as well. Because the maligning, as you know, in American journalism is also never ending. Never ending. As one pundit would say, the Democrats are the Hamas of the Republicans. So, I would like to end this particular segment, and I'd like to greet my connections back in Western Europe. I will be there as well because I have a strong feeling that if Secretary HEGSETH will be supported by the connections of mine in Western Europe, we will have long-lasting peace in Ukraine and in Russia. Russia, as you know, is playing tough, but it is very clear that in terms of logistics, they do not have it anymore. They do not have enough soldiers. They are all practically either dead or exhausted in death. As I told you, we're talking about an initial 1.6 million dead on both sides. Again, to my sponsors, you still have a chance. We are locking out our sponsorships to continue this every single hour. We will have use every single hour because of the demand that is increasing by the second. This is Gavin Batista. You can give us a call anytime at our Viber number at 405-503-8511, or you can hit me with an email at superdeals1494@gmail.com. If that doesn't work, there's another email at midwestern91@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and see you next time.